are for those who would like an active role in their recovery. Jamie and Cassie as a team have an eye for recognizing movement dysfunction. Through coaching and self-awareness, the duo teaches their clients to move better through increased stability and mobility. Helping identify missing links in either stability or mobility, teaching how the body may adapt, either good or bad, and restoring proper function is only the start of how you can become a better you. So, because we always seem to do this, I'll put in my own little plug here. I have been seeing Cassie since about January, I think. And I went to see her in August. About a week after I went to see her, I was out walking my dogs, and the thing that I've been going to see Cassie for happened. My ankle just gave out, I tripped, I fell into the street, and I cracked a rib. But I'll tell you, my ankle, because I've been working on it, I've been religious about doing my exercises. I would have thought I would have gotten a sprained ankle, but I didn't. The cracked rib is a whole other thing, but it really, I think it actually did save me, because I'm sure I would have been on crutches if I hadn't had it. So that's my son. Thanks. So, Jamie and Cass.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How's everyone doing?
Good.
Awesome. Great. Well, thanks for coming. Sorry that we're late and tardy. So we're going to talk a little bit about what me and Jamie do. And then we're going to get you guys to do things. We're more so showers, not talkers. So we're going to get you guys moving in a little bit, but I'll give you kind of an overview of what we do. So me and Jamie, we like to teach and educate you how you're moving. So a lot of the time, people who have sitting jobs or who have habits that they perform daily, a way of life where they're always moving certain ways, they form patterns. And with those patterns, sometimes they're not always the best patterns. So we have some dysfunction that comes along with that. A lot of the time it doesn't lead to injury, but sometimes it can lead to injury. So with what we do is that we show people how they're moving, how to move properly, what that feels like, and then show them the difference and give them the tools to kind of train their bodies to move differently. So a couple of things before we begin. We're going to talk about our core. So our core is not just our 8-pack. Our core embodies the back of our body, the front of our body, our hips, and our breathing muscle. So when you think about your core, instead of thinking about an 8-pack, it has a whole bunch of layers on top of that, and then it has all the other aspects that are involved in it. In regards to that will change of, yeah?
By the 8-pack, do you mean the 6-pack abs?
The 12-pack that you have, Linda.
Okay, yeah. Well, you know, they always call it the 6-pack,
The
right?
6-pack, the 8-pack.
She added a couple.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry to throw you.
That's okay. So in regards to our core, when we think about it, it's related to, because we have muscles on our back that are related to our core, our spine's definitely involved. So each spine has a curvature. Our spinal neutral is where each of those bones are stacked up along one another, and they have a certain curve to them. So everybody's curves is going to be slightly different, and they're going to change throughout the movement pattern. So when we want to find our neutral core, which is where our neutral spine, which is where our core is going to work the best, it's going to come from what our hips are doing, because our hips are going to change the way our spine is, and then what our spine is doing. So when we first see clients, we teach them where their neutral is and how to find their core. So when we're moving, we want our core to fire first. So that's why we want to find where that neutral is, and we want to hold you there through every movement so that you have the full range of motion with stabilizing your spine.
And by neutral spine, she means like your perfect posture.
Yes. Let's start with doing some things. Does anybody have any questions about kind of that basis before we begin trying to turn things on? No, we're okay? Okay, so I want everyone to, yes?
A couple of weeks ago I fell just one step, but I twisted my body, and my whole chest is so sore.
I guess you're a perfect example of what we're talking about. So something as so simple as jarring yourself and how you start to feel pain in other parts of your body. So we look at your body in two different muscle sections, right? You have muscles that stabilize you, muscles that move you. So by you jarring or stepping, like did you step off a curb or something funny? Is that what you did?
No, it was a step, the bottom step, and it was just one, but I fell, and I dropped actually 3 Pyrex plates, and they didn't break. So that was very unusual.
Yeah.
But I twisted my body, and then my mid back was just excruciating pain for, for the next week.
Yeah, so that's a perfect example of your core. So your core tried to stop you and didn't have the strength strength that it stopped you from like breaking anything, but then you start to get all these pains. So that's like joint problems. It has to do with how your body reacted to that jarring. It has to do like, did your body bounce back? Like, do you have scar tissue there? There's so many factors. So where you feel pain is not only the area that you that you hurt. Well, a lot of it has to do with function and how your muscles are guarding you, right? So it always helps to do something, whether it's massage, whether it's acupuncture, whether it's chiro. It depends on the person as to what your go-to.
I'm 81 too, so that doesn't help.
Yeah, no, you can still feel like 20, right? So what we're going to kind of talk about is just looking at areas of muscles that you're not working, that will just help you with the recovery. So Cassie's going to talk about how your glutes work, and then breathing muscles, where a lot of that pain in and around your ribs and between your back has to do with how you breathe, and those muscles that guard your ribs, and your ribs should move. And sometimes when you fall or you jerk yourself funny or you twist, you can kind of stop those joints from moving the way they should, and then it's almost like you get muscle spasm between those bones, and then it can lead to, aches in your back, or like some people get some chest pains and it hurts to breathe or sneeze or cough.
So what is better, heat or ice?
Everybody's a little different. Some people react better to heat, some people react better to cold. It really just depends on the situation.
What works?
Yeah, so she's going to kind of go over a couple exercises, and we'll kind of test if everyone's butts work. Right? And then how you breathe, because a big part of your breathing is your core muscles, and that comes down to balance and being able to catch yourself before you go to fall, or reaching for something without a lot of stress, because the stronger you are in your core, the better everything else works. But Cassie's going to run you through some.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want everyone to sit up nice and tall, and I want you guys to see, so we spend a lot of time on our bums, I want you guys to see if you can squeeze both your bum cheeks at the same time. Okay, if you can squeeze both of them, can you squeeze one without the other one squeezing? Like squeezing them together. And then squeeze one without the other one squeezing.
No.
Hey?
Just like you're pinching a loaf.
Kind of, yeah. Like you're squeezing both of them, not just one.
We're going to have you all cracking walnuts by Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
So this is kind of showing you if one you can relate to where your glutes are, and if you can fire them together and fire them independently. So like Jamie was saying, when we do balance and standing, you're standing on one leg. That's how one glute's working and one leg's not working. So glutes are definitely related to where your neutral is or your happy place, but also to if you can fire one without the other. So really important with balance with people who have issues like that. Okay, so then we're going to do a little bit of breathing. So I want you guys to take a couple of breaths and notice where you're breathing. Are you breathing chest, belly, you don't really know, in your shoulders? Kind of take a couple deep breaths, or normal breaths, or whatever sort of breath you have, and kind of note where it is. And then I want you guys to tell me who feels it where.
So everybody, 1, 2, 3, take a big deep breath. And then breathe out. Now, did a lot of people feel how much they breathed up here?
Or here.
Yeah, I really saw that you breathed really high here, which will associate with some of that tightness that you're having. So what a breath should be is like if you ever watch a baby breathe, all you see is their belly go wide and low. We call it crocodile breathing, right? So you want your breath to be low and wide. When you're stressed out, when you don't function the way you should, we spend our lives doing this, right? So the more we can push that down to where your breathing muscles should be, the better you're going to be at functioning. So now we're going to do a little exercise where we're going to push your breath in different areas of your body and see if you can actually control it. So everybody's going to put their hands up high, And you're gonna take 5 deep breaths. Make sure you don't hyperventilate, so regulate your breathing. And just try to put all of your breath up high. And that one seems pretty easy for most of us, right? Now the next one, you're gonna grab the sides of your ribs, okay? And you're gonna try to breathe. So you're almost applying a little bit of pressure and you're trying to breathe wide. So you're pushing your hands out, pushing your breath to make your ribs go wide.
They don't reach.
What's that?
They don't reach.
Now, does everybody see how you can push it? Most of us can get there, right? And a lot of times just by applying a little bit of pressure on our ribs gives us the feedback. Our body always wants to fight what you give it. So that's as, if you touch something, it'll make it contract. So now the next thing is you're gonna put it around your waist or on your belly, and you're gonna try to not let this become a part of your breath, but you want your breath to be low and through your belly. So you're not just going out here, but you're going out here. So your breath comes even into your back. That's your accessory muscles. So if you can grab here, great. If you grab here, it's really just giving your body the awareness of where you want to put your breath. And then you're gonna try to breathe in your belly. Now, does everybody see how we went back up here? Most of us? Right? This comes down to balance. It comes down to being able to move properly with your hips. Now going back to the bum, when everybody put their hands on their butt cheeks sitting on the chair. Okay, now some people think they're squeezing their bum, but they're squeezing everything but their bum. So the best way to understand if you're using your bum is to touch it. Right? So glutes is a huge support for your back. It's huge for balance. It's for walking, right? So if you can't fire one at a time, then your walk becomes more like this. I'm exaggerating it. You want to have independent action, right? So when you squeeze both, so everybody squeeze both, and take note, does the muscles get hard underneath your hands, right? You might even feel like you're squeezing your bum hole, but there's no muscle. So we tend to sit a lot. I call it overuse. We use our butt so much that it shuts off, right? So now can you relax one by keeping your hand there. Now you can also go for relax and try to contract one. Now I can see a lot of people are doing this with their legs, right? So you want to make sure that when you contract your bum that your legs aren't a part of it, that you're not squeezing like this, but you're squeezing, you should almost, like if I'm sitting in a chair, is like you should be able to go to music. Right? But you're not doing this, you're not pushing your legs in, you're not squeezing your knees together. But if you can get it's almost like you're raising up, not clenching, if that makes sense. Because that clench, you don't get a lot of movement out of that. You want to think of just like one working as opposed to the other, because that's, you being able to connect to that is as simple as being better balanced on one leg. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions, or does anybody's bum work? Is that a question? Right? Anybody that finds this easy, they're way ahead of the game. Okay, so now looking at hip mechanics, I want everyone to sit like this.
Can we back it up before you do that?
Can't see your legs.
Yeah, sure.
So if you are clenching your legs
Oh, yeah,
or your stomach or both
Yeah.
to do this
Yeah.
function, what do you try to switch off in your brain so that you aren't doing that and are doing what you...
It's honestly, like, you could spend hours with someone and them going, nope, don't do that. No, it's you becoming aware. So it's right now you're in a dark room and you're looking for the light switch. So it's just a matter of spending quality time with you and your bum, right? And trying to figure it out, because all of a sudden you're gonna get it and go, okay, I must be doing something wrong because this isn't as hard as what it was. Right? So it's becoming body aware, right? Because what happens when you're in pain, when you have, bad posture, when you're stressed out, when you're tired, everything becomes a guarding. and it no longer stabilizes the way it should. So then you become fatigued walking from point A to point B because you have nothing supporting you. So it's the difference between the big guys trying to do what the little guys are doing. So your stabilizers, so they're the little guys that stabilize your joints. They're the ones that make movement easy. They're the long distance runners. Okay, the problem with those long distance runners is they're the first things to tap out when you have an injury, when you get inflammation, when you have a little bit of a fall, you get anything like that, they're like, okay, fine, you're on your own. So then what happens is all the big guys, so your quads, your hamstrings, bigger muscles in your body that move you, they start to take over for those little guys. And what happens is those big guys don't have the same endurance as the little ones. So what happens is you become tighter, right? And it becomes a bit of a tug-of-war between your muscles. And you'll probably feel like you want to stretch, but stretching sometimes makes you feel worse because you haven't educated those little guys to come back on, right? And that's, in simple terms, we're talking balance, right? Balance of your hip joints, balance of your shoulder joints, balance of how your spine should stack one on top of the other. It's just more about making your body more efficient in how it moves, right? So in some more common things, so if we're sitting, I don't, you said you couldn't see. Yeah, if I sit up here. So if you think of sitting here, so some quick exercises or tests even, you want to think 90 degrees. Now nothing moves, and can you lift one leg out to the side? Right? Now do you feel how somebody did this? Right? And you might have got a cramp here. Okay, well this action should come from your stabilizer in your hip. Right? Some of us try to use the front and then you get cramping and then your body doesn't know what to do with that, so you end up running away from it. So now if you do both at the same time so that you can't twist to one side, do your legs match? Right? Do they both go out the same distance? Do you feel the amount of stress that's happening here, and probably a lot of you? Okay, this muscle does this and this. It doesn't do this. Right? But what happens when our hips get tight, we get stuck here, and then this part of our quads start to act as hip rotators. Now going back to the bum, when you squeeze your bum, you probably want to flare your pelvis like this, right? Do you feel, it's almost like you make your bum look like an apple, rather than having function in those glutes. It becomes a gripper, and then you your posture ends up turning into this. Do you see what because my bum is holding on for dear life and trying really hard for me not to fall on my face, because how my other muscles interact are not working properly. So as simple as just sitting and squeezing your bum, anybody with chronic back pain, just doing that makes all the difference in the world. I call it active sitting. So you just learn to use your bum, right? Then you can walk and go, hey, there's my bum, right? But if you sit and you have no idea how to use your bum, how are you going to use it in walking and standing and squatting and, sitting on and off the toilet even, right? So bringing your hips into it, doing this kind of stuff is also something. So when you lift out to the side, where you should feel the work is here. If you don't, you need to change where your hips are. So if you kind of sit up a little bit straighter, do you feel how the work kind of goes from here and more to the outside of your hips? Right? There's mechanics of your hips. Now you can do an exercise like that, right? But do you see most of us want to do this or this, right? And some of us might have a hard time lifting our legs, so you can slide it on the floor, right? This is the part that stabilizes your hips through movement, right? So these are just some examples of how you can make your balance better by doing, you can lie on your side in bed and lift your leg like that. It's all just waking up the little guys that we tend to forget, right? And teaching your body awareness on how to use your glutes, because you might, how many of us haven't hurt ourselves at some point in our life, right? And then sometimes it becomes a chronic problem and it's like, I got bad knees. I can't do that, I got bad knees. Well, a lot of the times it's not your knee's fault, it's how your body's acting on that area. Right? A lot of people will stop squatting because it hurts their knees, or they'll stop lunging or doing anything bending of your knees. But the best thing to strengthen your knees is to bend them. But in saying that, if you don't have any support from your hips, then it's gonna hurt your knees. So if you bring in hip support, then you can strengthen your knees by, you know, getting up on off the toilet properly instead of right? Or getting a higher toilet or whatever you do, right? Any questions? It's kind of just giving you an overview of kind of the stuff that we do that will just help you in overall health and movement. Really, do you have anything else to add, Cassie? Did we confuse you? I mean, we could go on forever. We could get people to touch their toes and show them, but it's how your muscles move and then how they all interact together to make that movement more efficient. Because the more efficient you are, the easier it is to move, the less pain you have, the better balance you have, the better, really, like it's about moving, right?
So how do you get together with you guys?
How do you get together? Well, we have a place over by Chinook,
Yeah.
and we do, well, with most everyone we'll do it, we do an assessment, and then we do, it's kind of, it depends on the person. Like some people come regularly because they're too lazy to do anything on their own, and then there's people that come and we show them what specifically they need because everybody learns differently and everybody's different. So, then we teach you stuff, you go and do it, and then you come back, like with Linda, I don't know how often you guys are.
Well, I haven't been there because I cracked that rib.
Oh,
But I can attest to the, no, that's not it, Linda. No, that's not it, Linda. No, you're not getting it, Linda.
it's not as simple as squat and it'll make things better.
Yeah.
It's like everybody squats differently, and what we do is figure out what you do wrong. We teach you to turn on the muscles that aren't working, and then show you how easy a squat is, because you've done that.
And
So-
is it covered or what kind of?
Well, we're athletic therapists, so every plan is different. We are recognized by most insurance companies, but it comes down to what each individual plan is. I know certain companies are better than others. Yeah, really, like Blue Cross is not really our friend. But, yeah, that's what most people have is Blue Cross. They're not that great at covering us. If you've been in a motor vehicle accident, we're covered through the Section B, which is like the second phase of recovery when it comes to that coverage. But it really depends on every plan. But we're all about teaching you. Like we're not looking for you to come to us till the end of time. We want you to just learn what you tend to do wrong and teach you how to do it right. And we love the clients that do their homework. We're all about giving homework.
And actually they're very good because I know when I've been to physiotherapists and other kinds of therapists, you go away and by the time I get home, I can't remember what the heck they've told me, right? But after every session, Cassie sends me a PowerPoint with all of my lessons and now whether I actually pick it up and use it or not is a little different story. I try to, but yeah. And myself, I go like once every 6 weeks because, you know, it all adds up between going to the chiropractor and the dentist and everybody else that you got to go to. So I go once every 6 weeks and she gives me a bunch of exercises to do and I focus on them, try to get better at them.
Then it's about, so a lot of times when there's, like, is it the condition that you have that your muscles become tonic? Well, we have tools, we do kinesiotaping, we do other things that we can send a message to relax a muscle. So, have you ever heard of kinesiotaping? So a lot of times, like people that can't figure out how to use it, we can tape it. And then all it does is it helps educate you on how to use it or not use it. It's about balancing. A lot of times, like if it's not like an example, like we have quite a few clients with MS, and you know, like it's that message, right? But a lot of times their body becomes so rigid that they get this shake that it's not about them being able to contract, but it's about them being able to relax into that state so that we can train it, and the tremors tend to subside if we can get them to relax into the muscle that they're supposed to use. So it's positional, and it's like we do stuff like repatterning stuff where we just trick the body into doing what we want. We tend to get you tied up in a lot of different directions, and
Can you get your brain to redirect that energy instead of going, like say in my case, instead of directing any energy to go down my arm? Can I mentally learn to shut off any of those connections and speak more on the other side?
well, I think sometimes putting it's hard to say because I don't know your specific
Yeah.
condition, but I mean, I have a lot of people with chronic pain and they're afraid to use their upper body. Well, I trick them to use their upper body, and before you know it, they're doing push-ups. So it's really about getting you to function better. Then your body isn't as stressed as what it was. Like everybody has certain things, like some things you can't change, like, you know, a drop foot or, you know, but we can make your body most efficient with that problem. So then that problem isn't as big as it once was, right? There's some things you can't change, but there's lots that you can do to diminish how your body thinks it's helping, but it tends to do the wrong thing to help.
Have you been covered through WCB?
Through what?
WCB, workers' compensation?
We don't tend to do WCB just because they don't pay very well and they're very rigid.
Yes.
And then-
slower.
Yeah, like, I mean, my significant other went through WCB and it was painful for me to watch. But I can't help him because we just fight.
That's classic.
In there.
I send him to Cassie.
It's a lost cause.
And you had a question?
No, it's all good
It's
now.
all good? Okay. Yeah. Yes?
I'm just trying to do the exercises you pointed out.
Yeah?
And all the muscles in my back, my legs and my hips here just lock up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of times what happens is when it comes to not using this properly, it's like the bottom of your feet fire, then your calves fire, then your hamstring fire, and they're spending the whole time trying to stop you from falling forward, right? Because your core is not the first thing to fire. So that's a lot of people with foot pain, like the spasms in their calves in the night.
I get it in my fingers, my toes.
Yeah, that it could be circulation too. Like when you're sitting, were you trying to do it with your feet tucked underneath the bench?
No,
No? Did you do it flat? Yeah? Now when you're squeezing, are you digging your feet into the ground?
well, probably.
Yeah. So, like what you could do is like squeeze your hands together and then try to squeeze your bum and see if that shuts off your feet. Sometimes it's just you're so tight along the back side of you that it doesn't know how to stay out of it. It's always trying to help. So, and some of it can be nutritional, like whether you're getting enough water, whether you're enough like potassium, all that kind of stuff. But usually when we introduce a muscle, some people will spasm because they haven't used it and it doesn't know how to work properly. The better we get it to work, then like this is a common one that people will get spasm, teaching them how to use their hamstring, which is the back of your leg, without using your foot. So relaxing your foot and then you're trying to lift your leg. A lot of people will get a Charlie horse, like, whoa, what did you just do to me? But then the better you get at it and the better that it works and you're not trying to use everything else to do it, then it takes away that. It's almost like shock to the system. What are you doing? I'm busy trying to stop you from falling forward. Why are you making me work? So that's common.
Oh, like today I was trying to have a shave this morning. I couldn't get this damn finger to press the button
Yeah, so it could be.
on the shaving cream.
Do you feel like you're weak grip when you go to like grab something?
No, I have a good grip. I've been a millwright most of my life.
And then it could be joint related, like your joint might not be tracking properly. Does it feel like it gets stuck?
No, the ends of my fingers are numb.
Oh, then there's stuff going on up here. So from your neck anything nerve related comes from your spine. So it could be like messages to your muscles are just not getting there. Again,
So is that what you work with?
we work, like I have clients from 8 years old to 96. Like the 96-year-old, it's more about just keeping her mobile. She still lives by herself. So she's had some hip replacements, so she's kind of stuck like this. So we just work with she gets back pain and neck pain because she's trying to, stand up straight. And there's not a lot we can change about that. So we just try to strengthen her as best we can so that she can still move around. I have an 8-year-old who's a swimmer and loves to swim, but gets chronic neck pain. But she never crawled as a baby. So she doesn't have this motion. And she loves to swim, but doesn't want to quit. So we're teaching her because she scooched on her bum as a baby instead of crawling. Those are huge developmental stages that you need. So we're different in how we approach things because we do it active. We're about giving you the work and you learning how to do it on your own. We're not gonna come in and stick you on a machine.
Do you work a lot with posture? I'm reading a book and it's all about how to improve your posture to prevent back pain. And in the book they talk a lot about sitting properly, like you were just, and even, I haven't got there yet, but standing properly and walking properly. And
Yeah.
so if
That's
you
all of it,
work with
yeah.
a lot of that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if you're hard as a millwright, like, that's not exactly the easiest thing on your body for how many years,
Yeah.
right? So there's some effects to that. And we bounce back easier when we're younger. As we get older, because we lay down a lot more scar tissue, it's harder for us to bounce back, but you still can bounce back. Like I had a client, she broke her ribs and you go to the doctor and the doctor tells she's in her 90s and they pretty much write you off and say, here's some drugs, that's all you can do. And her daughter convinced me to come and help her at her house and I taped her ribs and she was walking with a cane with support with people and was in chronic pain. And then as we worked, and I went there once a week, I taught her caregiver on how she could help her. And then it was like, where's your cane? And she's like off running around. She didn't have a cane or anything, so we're always chasing her like, you should have your cane, where's your cane? But and I only saw her once a week, sometimes every 2 weeks. It was just putting that little, and we did everything lying in her bed, right? It's just teaching your body how to work, and then it's not about the broken ribs and it's hard to bounce back from broken ribs.
Sometimes when I stand, I feel like there's a sense of gravity pulling me down. I just feel like I'm going to be falling forward. And
Yeah.
sometimes a sense of dizziness. What would that be?
Well, a lot of times when you feel like you're falling forward, it's because you can't stand up straight, usually because of tight hips. When your hips are tight, your glutes don't work, your core doesn't work that well. It sounds like you have other stuff going on that will help. Dizzy, it could be a number of things. Look, I'm not a doctor, but I'm basing everything what I'm saying on muscles and bones in my experience. Well, a lot of times they give you the exercise and they say go home and do it. Well, if you have a shoulder that doesn't work very properly, is that proper English? If you have a shoulder, for example, that doesn't work, for you to go home and do those exercises, will you get what you need out of it? Probably not. Our population tends to be the people that are really flexible but unstable. Those are the people that tend to search us out, because if you're really stiff, yes, those exercises will help you. But if you're someone who moves very well in your joints, well, you can make it look like you're doing it right, but you're typically not, which is why they get stuck in that pain cycle.
Well, I want to thank you ladies both for coming out.
Cute.
I hope you have a place for it.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks very much.